needs to reform, and yet the EU shows no signs of reforming. Moreover, the EU never addresses any of its key problems: youth unemployment, migration, depression in Greece. At its core, it's a political project. We in the United Kingdom always view it from an economic perspective, and it's a political perspective on the continent and in Ireland, and it's basically unstoppable. At its core, in economic terms, is a big worry. The fundamental flaw is the Eurozone. One size does not fit all. Greece is not a Germany. Yet the Germans and the French in recent years have made survival of the Eurozone key to this project. As a result, in recent days, Lord King, former Governor of the Bank of England, said it's inevitable that the Eurozone will collapse. Moreover, any longer-term economic forecaster will say the European Union is the slow-growth region of the world. There is uncertainty if we remain because we don't know what's going to happen. But I think the Titanic is a good analogy. The Titanic, when it left Southampton Harbour, was admired because it was huge. It sailed across the Atlantic. It sailed at rapid speed. Maybe that's not the best analogy for the EU, but it didn't change direction. It didn't change direction in the face of impending disaster, and it sank. We are not able to change the direction of the Titanic, as we saw from the recent renegotiation, because the EU didn't embrace the renegotiation. Instead, ships that were medium-sized and left Southampton Harbour that day had a choppier crossing, but got to the New World safely. If we were to leave, then Brexit, in my mind, needs stability, a roadmap, and a clear strategic vision. And the reason why Brexit needs to be embraced now, compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago, is that Britain's success in the last 20 years is not because of our membership of the EU, it's in spite of our membership of the EU. Globalisation is the big trend. Globalisation means new centres of growth are emerging. If we were to leave, we need to do a few things. I know time is tight, but we need to have a timetable to repatriate powers. The Whitehall in the last 2 years has carried out 32 detailed reports and competencies. That should be the bedrock in the first 2 years of how we repatriate powers. We then can respend our EU contributions. All the areas that currently get subsidies from the EU can easily be paid out of our contribution to the EU, and we have more left over to fund our health system. Migration. The UK has benefited from migration, but basically we've now reached the situation where scale is the big problem. Last December, Bob Rowthorne, professor at Cambridge University, produced a fantastic report. It's on the Civitas website. He pointed out migration is suppressing low wages, but more particularly the scale of it is adding to intense pressure on our services across the whole of the UK. We need to still have migration, but of those we want, not of everyone who wants to come here. But maybe the final thing, trade deals. 2 years ago, I did a detailed report for the Mayor of London. I spent about a year compiling it. We spoke to 20 different business groups. Well, we had 20 different roundtables. British Chamber of Commerce were there, CBI, others. And the one thing I changed my mind on, really, was 2.5 years ago, if you'd asked me, I said we would need to be in the EU because it was big and it would make it easy to do trade deals. Wow, did I get a pushback from businesses. I got a pushback from businesses of all shapes, all sizes, in different sectors. They pointed out, in the European Union, we're one of 28. When trade deals are done, they're not done with Britain's best interests at heart. We're just one of the group. Moreover, countries outside, Singapore, South Korea were always quoted, were countries that had done a lot more trade deals than the EU, and they did trade deals that played to their country's own strengths, were iterative, i.e. could be repeated, and were with fast-growing regions of the world. We need to build that skill set. We do have 2 or 3 years after we've left, because remember, things don't immediately change. But my word, we need to be thinking globally. I say our biggest export is often our pessimism in the UK. We've actually done well despite being tied to an economic bloc that's inward-looking and insular, and I think we should have courage in our own businesses, our own people, and think globally.
Thank you.
Well said.
Yes.
Well said.